and there's so many hours that go towards whatever career that we pick. Like that's going to be, I mean, music and writing and marketing and managing my career is a full-time, all the time, round the clock gig. And it's so important and crucial that I love what I do because I'm doing it all the time. And I think that can translate to any sort of career that anyone chooses. I mean, I was very passionate about so many different things in school too, that I could have found a lot of success and liked a lot of those other career paths. I just was super dedicated to the artistic. I mean, the amount of creativity that comes to me through my work is just sometimes so much that I had to be an artist.
Today, I get to speak with Kendra Muecke. She's a singer-songwriter, actress, writer, and a published author from Houston, Texas, now in LA. She performs under the stage name Kendra and the Bunnies as a psychedelic folk rock Americana and spoken word artist. Her style heavily utilizes the element of storytelling through song, painting a creative experience for the listener. She has released 3 albums, charted globally at number 8 on the digital radio charts, published 2 books, writes for several online music magazines, is SAG-Aftra eligible, and tours nationally. You can read more about Kendra in publications such as JamBase, Relix Magazine, Denver Westword, Grateful Web, Hollywood, Digest, Indie Post Music, and more. Find out more about Kendra as she shares her journey in this episode. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. Want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Kendra, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you are an amazing musician, songwriter, guitar player. I don't know if you call people guitar player, writer and poet.
Guitarist.
Yeah, guitarist. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, what's your inspiration?
Wonderful. So I grew up in Houston, Texas, and kind of like right out of the chute, I started as an actress. At like age 4, I was captivated by, a movie that I saw, and I was like, is this what being a movie star is? And my mom was like, yeah. So I started taking acting classes at a very young age, and it was very formidable of like how I would grow to see the world. I was always on stage, always like, in the theater, surrounded by music, but it wasn't till later on in life that I started playing the guitar and that I started writing poetry. And the way that I started writing poetry was just like, it just was very natural to me. We were studying it in freshman year of high school, and I just like picked up the pen and haven't set it down yet. Then I went to college for acting as well. And post-college, I started thinking, I was like, okay, I've been acting forever. I've been writing poetry now for, X amount of years since high school. I was very interested in rock and roll music. And I was like, what can I do to combine all these things together? And it was like, boom. Oh, I'm a musician. I'm a singer-songwriter. And so I started following that pursuit a little bit after college. And it's led me to just really being able to like be myself in every facet.
That is so cool. So an inspiration that you had or a movie inspired you to acting at age 4, which is really amazing. I mean, I have 4-year-olds, and I have a 5-year-old, I have a 2-year-old, and a 10-year-old, and they love watching movies, and they love, acting out like, oh, I'm Batman, or all the different actors or all the different characters that they see. And it's really fascinating that so who inspired you or not inspired, but who motivated you or who like supported you to go in that route?
I would say like my family has always been very supportive of me. So that would be like the first people that I would name because like from the start, I mean, I was so young. I was like, I want to act. And it was just like, it was an extracurricular and stuff, but it became what my life was about. And, even furthermore, like when I went to go pick a major for college,
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I was like, okay, like it's all fun and games you until your kid wants to study acting in college, because
Hmm.
that's like a sincere dedication to the profession. And I've since expanded into all these different realms, but I have to say my family is so supportive of me, and they love the fact that I'm just filled with all this creative energy and just like
Yeah.
busting at the seams with art.
That's so beautiful. It is so important to nurture those abilities, to nurture those
Yeah.
fascination and interests, because a lot of the times people like, oh no, acting is for, blah blah blah. You have to be born in it or whatever, but that's not true,
Oh yeah.
right? It's not true at
Yeah.
all, because you really have to put your mind to it. Just like
Hmm.
when somebody goes to engineering college, or when somebody goes to, medical school, or somebody goes
Hmm.
to whichever profession you say, you do put the time in. You do have to put the time in. You do have to really study and act on it
Hmm.
to be really good at it. So that's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah.
Give me 1 minute. I gotta go grab my doctor, my daughter.
Sure.
She's screaming while my wife's in another meeting.
Okay, no problem.
That's fun, when you're working from home, and everyone does do that. All right, give me
Yeah.
a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much for waiting, and
Yeah,
appreciate it.
no problem. Yeah.
Awesome. So we talked about how important it is for support from the family
Hmm.
to go into what you want to do as a child, what you love to do, what's really
Hmm.
interests you. And one of the reasons why we see a lot of South Asians, Indians like myself, in engineering and education, not
Hmm.
education, but engineering and medical school, is because our parents are like, no, you have to be a doctor, or you have to be an engineer. It's hilarious, but
Yeah.
they are becoming more and more open to other professions, because it doesn't come down, because I'm just stumbling all over my words. I think it all came out because there was a lot of money to make in those
Yeah.
fields, but that's
Yeah.
not the case anymore, right?
Uh,
What's
I
Yeah,
suppose so.
what's really important, what's becoming more and more important now, is the happiness of your
Yeah.
right, your own happiness. Like, sure,
Hmm.
you're an engineer, but do you really enjoy being an engineer, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's really important, the happiness of the human being, or of the person that's taking on an activity, or taking on a profession or a career that's really going to bring out the best in them.
And there's so many hours that go towards whatever career that we pick. Like that's
Hmm.
going to be, I mean, music and writing and marketing and managing my career is a full-time, all the time, round the clock gig.
Yeah.
And it's so important and crucial that I love what I do because I'm doing it all the time. And I think that that can translate to any sort of career that anyone chooses. I mean, I was very passionate about so many different things in school too, that I could have found a lot of success and liked a lot of those other career paths. I just was super dedicated to the artistic. I mean, the amount of creativity that comes to me through my work is just sometimes so much
Hmm.
that I I had to be an artist. Like I
Yeah.
just have to be an artist. But I did really like so many different elements of school. And I could have seen myself being very happy in a lot of different career paths
Hmm. No, that's so true,
in a
because
different life. Yeah.
in a different life,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know how they say, arranged marriages are some of the most successful ones? It's because
Yeah.
you learn to make, you learn to love the other person, or you learn to make do with it, and you learn to
Hmm.
be accustomed to it. So
Yeah.
absolutely, but once you have a mind set on one specific thing, I think it's very important to carry it through and
Hmm.
make it
Hmm.
make it happen, and continue in that
Definitely.
path.
Yeah, because there'll be days when I wake up and it's like, I mean, every day is a good day, but there's some days I
Hmm.
wake up and I have 3 emails versus 10 or 15 or something. And
Yeah.
the days that I wake up when there's 10 or 15, I get very excited about all the new opportunities coming in,
Hmm.
all the like ability to just move forward in my career. But I have to remember there are going to be days when there's 3 emails that come in, and
Yeah.
that's okay too.
Yeah.
Stay the course, keep going, and, relish in all the accomplishments, big and small.
That's absolutely right. You have to keep going. You have to continue on the path that you've started
Hmm.
because it all comes down to how far you can you take it, and are you
Hmm.
going to quit in the middle of it? Just like Thomas Alva Edison, he didn't give up after getting failure after failure on building the light bulb. He says, "No, I
Oh,
didn't fail
yeah.
10,000 times. I
Hmm.
just found 10,000 ways it's not going to work." So,
Yeah, that makes sense. That
yeah.
makes complete sense.
So having that positive outcome and having that positive influence as well as support from our peers, from our family, from
Hmm.
our friends, I think that plays another big role, right? So you have the
Hmm.
motivation in you, you have the burning desire to do something, but
Hmm.
then once that is fueled by external sources, you're even more empowered.
Hmm. That's great. That's absolutely great. And we have to believe in ourselves too,
Hmm.
because I've dealt with that like on and off where it's just, a little bit of self-doubt here and there. And I just have to, focus on channeling that into something productive. Or if I can't be productive with it, then just meditate and come back later. But
Hmm.
self-doubt is it is what it is. And I'm sure it serves a purpose. I think maybe it makes us dig deeper into who we are and analyze like what we really want in life. But to just dwell in self doubt doesn't serve a purpose.
No, not at all. And
Hmm.
and I think a lot of the times why uh, people get into addiction is because they're not getting that feedback. And I don't know if that's that's a topic I'm
Mm.
what's that word, qualified to talk about. So
Hmm.
we'll stay away from that one.
Yeah, but it's when someone feels like to augment a certain amount of reality or have some sort of escapism. I mean, there's a lot of different versions of obsessive thought patterns.
Hmm. Absolutely. So let's see, where should we take the conversation? So you got into music, you learned. So which instrument did you learn
I
first?
So I guess singing for sure. Like when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, I started singing just like right off the bat. I guess I'd say piano.
Mm-hmm.
I played piano a little bit when I was younger. I'm actually like about to jump back into playing the piano.
Nice.
My grandmother recently passed away.
Oh, my condolences.
We miss her very much.
Hmm.
Thank you, thank you. But I was sent her keyboard, her piano that she had, and I was also sent all of her sheet music and all of her writing that she had been writing for years. So I really want
Wow.
to relearn the piano so I can play some of her original music and bring that back to life and add a second life to it. That being said, that's going to be a learning process because I haven't played the piano since, well, I mean, I know music theory, but I haven't played the piano since I was very young.
Hmm.
I started playing the guitar kind of in high school, but it's interesting. My first guitar teacher was very much not empowering. I told him some
Mm.
of the things that I wanted to do, and he was like, I was like, oh, I want to be the next female Jimi Hendrix, and he's like, oh, okay, good luck with that. So I immediately felt, well, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess that
it's like,
wasn't
come on.
an I mean, it's just so I was very off put by that. So then I
Hmm.
didn't play and for a while
Oh, wow.
until college. Actually, it was my last credit in college. I had taken all the credits I needed to for my degree, and I had just one more credit to graduate. So I was
Hmm.
like, you know what? I'm gonna take Guitar 101, and
Just
I
do
had a
it.
teacher that really believed in me,
Yeah.
and and it changed everything. I mean, just even though I was very much in the beginning stages, they were like, my teacher was like, "Hey, you've got something special here."
That's beautiful because it's those first dismissive actions, right? It puts you off, and you're like, okay, maybe I don't have it in me, right? You start,
Mm.
like you mentioned earlier, right?
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
start doing that self doubt thing,
Yeah.
and you keep wallowing in that. Um, a really cool story that I remember reading, this book around rejection theory or the rejection project, where this gentleman, he's like, he he loved to create ideas. He loved to experiment and invent new things. And he sent not one of the ideas where he basically attached a wheel in the
Mm-hmm.
shoe, and he was like, "Oh, this is going to be an awesome idea. You just pop the wheel out, and you can ride on your shoes."
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Right? So he shared that idea with his uncle, and his
Mm-hmm.
uncle, "Oh, that's never going to happen."
Mm.
And then so he got off put about it.
Mm-hmm.
But what he forgot to do is he forgot to ask why. So a few years later, the Wheelie company came out with these shoes, which
Mm-hmm.
were similar based on his ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Had he asked us question of why not, right? He would have been the guy running that. But again, he basically went around saying, I'm gonna get rejected 100 times. There's actually a project called a rejection theory, where you basically put yourself in places where you know you're going to get rejected, just so you can overcome that fear of rejection. So he's like,
That makes sense.
I'm gonna do it 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he did 100, and he had recorded every single uh, video or around it, like, okay, this is my first attempt, I'm gonna ask a stranger for $100. So it's really cool in how he built up that rejection muscle, because essentially
Mm-hmm.
it is a muscle, and it's similar to getting hit in your stomach. It gives you like the
Mm-hmm.
reaction your brain creates is similar to
Mm-hmm.
somebody punching you in the stomach when you get rejected. So
Mm-hmm.
when somebody
Yeah.
tells us, no, that's not going to happen for you, that's you're dreaming too.
It's so painful.
Yes.
Absolutely so painful. I've been through that quite a bit, and I guess have been a lot stronger from it. I mean, it gets easier a little bit each time, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that my newest mindset, and this is one I've adapted, I think like within the week, has been that it's all good. Like it's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
If I were to look at the grand tapestry of my life and look at like the different things that have happened, certain things in the past that I might not have enjoyed have led me to where I am. So it's like all good. I no longer am going to question the journey. I'm just going to be along with the journey, and it makes it a really nice ride, and things happen easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. No.
Hmm.
I've had to go through the similar process of of accepting the status quo, accepting, okay,
Hmm.
this is what we have to deal with anyway. I mean, with COVID-19,
Hmm.
everybody's perceptions totally changed, right? We're
Hmm.
no longer
Hmm.
meeting in public. We're all meeting online. We're all
Hmm.
doing this and adapting to this. And I think the biggest adapters are the kids, because they're no longer going to school. They have to use these devices to communicate with their teachers, to
Hmm.
communicate with their with their peers. It's a very
Hmm.
different environment, and they don't have the
Hmm.
same luxury as we do as adults to be able to, you know, just strike up a conversation with anybody. They can't do that with their kid friends unless they have,
Hmm.
previously set up that kind of setup network or whatever. So it's really,
That makes sense.
yeah, so it's really interesting to see how we are evolving and how we are adapting.
Hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to beat myself about it. If I'm not able
Hmm.
to get something done, that's okay. There's time to get that done. When the
True.
time is right, all I got to do is make sure that I keep doing the same thing over and over and over, or, keep going the path, because I know eventually I will get to that success point.
Yeah, and each time when I return to different decisions, like either I have a chance to like re-solidify the decision that I've made before, or I have
Hmm.
a chance to choose a new direction. It's like with the light bulb. It's like, the thousandth time or the hundredth time that he put that light bulb together.
Yeah.
If he just would have said, oh, well, let me try it exactly the same way, or yeah, let me give up this time, then
Hmm.
he wouldn't have reached, you know, discovering electricity.
Yeah.
And yeah, we get to make new agreements with ourselves and new agreements with the universe when things arrive again. And I think a quality that I'm starting to understand, and it's interesting because when I was younger, I used to think like, oh, that doesn't make sense, is the quality of being, it's okay to be wrong
Hmm.
from the past. Like, I made the best decision with the evidence or with the facts that I had on a certain
Yes.
decision or a habit or a way of living or something like that. But
Hmm.
then when new information presents itself, then I can make a new decision
Yeah.
and mature in an emotional realm and in a realm that makes more sense at the time.
Exactly. It's that no regret policy, right? Sure. What I did in the past
Mm-hmm.
was based on the best information I had available. Like um 7 years ago, my friend, he purchased some stock in Amazon. He bought it at what, $300 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and he spent he spent like 15,000 something on it, right? Buying $300
Mm-hmm.
stocks, and then weeks after, the stock even went further down. And it's like, oh no, what's going on? It's not gonna work out for me. And now you look at the stock; it's $3,000 for one share.
That's amazing.
Right? So he stuck with it. He's like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep it
Mm-hmm.
because it is a company that's making strides. And some things that I did was, I let go of some of the shares that I had. I was like, okay, I bought this for $100, but now it's at $300 and I sold it. But now it's at like $500 or now it's at like
Mm-hmm.
$1,500. So it's okay. I mean, those are the decisions I had to make at that
Mm-hmm.
time. I probably needed the money, probably needed to get something out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's okay because we make the decisions, and so it's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from those mistakes and apply
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the future.
Big time, definitely.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about not having any regrets and not beating
Hmm.
ourselves up about it, because I used to do that too. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'll end up doing it in a week or something, but at least
Hmm.
I'll have the foresight to go, oh, right, well, it doesn't serve me to beat myself up about something, because I mean, it is what it is. And if it's all good, then I was being an agent of change for myself without
Yeah.
realizing that I was in the midst of doing that.
That's so true. Agent of change, that's a really good word because who we are today is all because of the decisions we made in the past. We would not have gotten to this point if we had not made those decisions. We'd be
Mm.
somewhere else. It's like the theory of time travel. If you go if you go in the past and change something, it's not that your future is going to be changed. It's going to be somebody else's future is going to change. It's still you're still living. You're not living in, like, you're not changing your own future. You're changing somebody else's future. And a really cool example of that was there's a TV show. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Wow.
It's called The Orville. It's basically a play on. It's a they're kind of making fun of Star Trek, but it's a really cool show where in one episode, they what they did is they found a time capsule from the year 2000, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna there's a smartphone of somebody's
Hmm.
life in it, like, and she was like, I'm gonna put my smartphone in here as a time travel so people in the future can see what our lives look like. So it had photos, it
Hmm.
had, so what he did, he put it in this virtual reality room where the system took the personality, and now you can enter the room and interact with this person.
Wow.
So it's really funny, right? So he interacted with this, he falls in love with this girl, but then the one thing,
Wow.
his her boyfriend shows up, right? So he didn't know from the beginning. So he's like, all right. He goes to the system. He's like, okay, remove her boyfriend for the entire storyline.
Hmm.
And then he enters the space again. And and she's a waitress and she's doing the regular thing, and then there's a open mic night, and
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, you should go and try it." And she's like, "What? I've never wanted to play music before."
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "What?" But she used to sing in the previous version. And he
Oh.
started thinking, it's like, I wonder why. So what turns out is that her boyfriend was the one who pushed her to take up on music.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
because of that, I mean, even though she had
Wow.
broken up with the boyfriend, right, it was a different future.
Hmm.
So even though this is all make believe, those past actions change who we become in the future. It's pretty
It's
deep.
interesting what you said about how when we time travel, we change other people's futures.
Yeah.
I was trying to wrap my head around that, and I think what I settled on is the fact that the the people that we impact each day, I
Hmm.
mean, we're placed in a certain place to impact the certain people that we'll interact with. And
Absolutely.
if we change where we are and the past, then we change the future and we change all those people's lives who we would impact and the conversations we would have and the people we meet. And that changes like face of reality.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely does. Wow. From getting into music and theater and arts into time travel, where have you
Yeah,
come? This is,
pretty similar, right?
yeah, very similar. And I mean, that's the power of conversation, and where we can take our mind. The mind is so beautiful. I look at it and I just love studying the mind and quantum physics and how we're all connected with each other in one form or another. Like right now we're connected through audio,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other dimensions that we're connected with that we
Mm-hmm.
we cannot see or we cannot perceive. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, Kendra, this was a ton of fun. Tell us.
Yeah,
I have a few questions,
sure.
and then we'll go over what are some of the motivations for the things you do. So we talked about that you love music and arts, and you just
Mm-hmm.
got into it. So that question we can skip. All right. What is one hobby that you wish you got into,
That answer used to be play guitar, but now I play guitar
but you play the
like
guitar?
all the time. I would say like yoga
Mm.
or dance, or seriously, I do hula hoop, I do dance, and I do yoga, but
Mm-hmm.
just if I could do it a little bit more and be more passionate about it,
Yeah.
I'd really enjoy that, and maybe like paint a little bit more. These are all things that I
Mm.
do, but they're, you know, very much extracurricular hobbies.
Sure. Nice. Yeah, painting is one of my things. Like I have a few canvas packed in the box because I have so many different hobbies, so many different creative things that I want to do. And I like dived into like getting these cutting machines so you can cut vinyl and paint through it or
Oh,
whatnot.
wonderful.
But again, it all takes time. You gotta
Hmm.
see, okay, what are you gonna put your time into?
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, next question. What did you want to be when you were a child? And I think we answered like your entire journey
Yeah.
is around that.
It is. And it makes it like really important. And sometimes it makes those rejections or bumps in the road or
Hmm.
like days where I wake up, there's only 3 emails. It makes those days a little bit harder sometimes
Yeah.
because I've been so dedicated to this for
Mm.
so long
Yeah.
that it's like this or nothing for me. But I'm learning to enjoy life for just life
Hmm.
instead of career and name and lights and all of that. And I'm learning to regain loving life just for living.
Nice. I love it.
Hmm.
What is your favorite movie or TV show?
Oh, my favorite movie is Waking Life by Richard Linklater. He is a filmmaker from Houston, Texas, which is also where I'm from. And he wrote Dazed and Confused, and he has some more like artistic indie films. One of them would be the one Waking Life, and it's
Hmm.
about lucid dreaming and reality, and just like parallel realities, and
Ooh.
how it's it. all of existence is like a dream-like state, you know, and
Yeah.
we're witnessing, and we're part of, we're almost like a passenger of our own reality. And I think there's so many philosophical elements of that movie that are
Hmm.
just like so quotable and very enlightening. So definitely Waking Life would be my favorite movie.
Waking Life.
TV show would probably be, I just like lighthearted kind of funny stuff.
Hmm.
So probably like Seinfeld
Oh my God,
or
you said it. Said it.
yeah.
My
I mean,
favorite TV
it's the
show of all
best
time.
show of all time. Just like literally the best writing, hilarious of all time.
Yeah, it is. It's just amazing. All right. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
So I actually, well, two things. I actually am working on a like memoir or novel right now that
Hmm.
I intend to turn into a screenplay and then
Nice.
play myself at whatever age I am. I'm about like 60 pages into that. So it's, you
Nice.
know, the project's coming along, but just depends when I sit down to write a little bit more. I wrote
Yeah.
a little bit of it like a few nights ago.
Hmm.
But then I'd say like if to pick a movie, I'd probably say maybe like Almost Famous, Penny Lane and
Oh,
Almost Famous,
that's a good one.
by with Kate Hudson
With
playing
Kate
her.
Hudson. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a really good one.
I love that movie. They're
Yeah.
actually turning it into a musical too.
No way. That would be so
It,
much fun to
the
watch.
soundtrack is probably going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. All
Yeah.
right. Next one. Who is your favorite superhero or your superhero power?
Um, Favorite superhero? I'd probably like say like a musician like Jerry Garcia from the
Hmm.
Grateful Dead. And I'd probably say like favorite superpower would be like clairaudience, like being able to just like clairvoyance and clairaudience, just being able to
Mm.
like know things from your surroundings.
Ooh, kind of like Sherlock Holmes.
I suppose so. Yeah,
Yeah.
just being able to understand and perceive things that have happened and will happen and that are happening.
Wow. Yep, that's Sherlock Holmes, like to the
That's
tooth.
cool.
Awesome. If you are a board game, what would it be?
A board game? I guess like the game of life.
Game of life.
Yeah, I always liked
Awesome.
playing that as a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny that the fact that the game goes on so long that like when me and my brother would play a game, play it at like age 12 or something, we'd
Yeah.
end up just playing for like an hour and we'd be like, seriously? This life game goes on forever. I always thought that was a funny joke, but jokes aside, I love the game.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kendra. This was a ton of
Thanks.
fun talking with you, learning about you, and can't wait to check out your albums. I know you're on Apple Music and all the different places. Where can my audience find you if they want to connect with you and learn more?
Wonderful. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. It's been a really wonderful conversation and nice to meet you today.
Appreciate it.
So I've got a new single coming out on August 27th, and that will be on all music platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, etc.
Hmm.
I go by Kendra and the Bunnies.
Hmm.
Me and my band are Kendra and the Bunnies, so you can search
Nice.
that on any of the streaming platforms. If you want to get in touch with me for booking Kendra and the Bunnies
Yeah.
or some sort of like songwriting collaboration, you can reach
Hmm.
me at Kendra and the Bunnies, mgmt@gmail.com.
Nice.
On Instagram and Twitter, I'm Ken Bunny, KenBunny. Facebook, Kendra and the Bunnies Music.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then even you can reach out to me on LinkedIn too, because I've been doing a lot of like freelance writing articles and a lot of copywritten work as well. So you can just
Nice.
search Kendra Mickey on LinkedIn to collaborate on something more professional, or not more professional, but less artsy, more graphical. I
Well,
don't
you
know.
know
But
what's
yeah.
funny is there's people posting videos from TikTok on LinkedIn.
Ooh,
It's hilarious.
interesting.
And they're getting a ton of likes, a ton of engagement. I'm
That's
like,
cool.
wow, TikTok on LinkedIn, check this out. And what's funny is that Microsoft, who also owns LinkedIn, is looking to buy TikTok.
I know I heard about that because of the recent ban. So
Mm-hmm.
they were looking to buy it. Instagram just came out today with their version of TikTok. It's called Instagram Reels.
No
So
way.
it looks like it's very similar. Yeah, I have to say the one thing I like about TikTok, there's a few things I like about it, but I
Mm-hmm.
love the algorithm, the fact that you can just discover people from everywhere,
Everywhere, yeah,
everywhere,
yeah, yeah.
everywhere. And I can be discovered too as an artist. That's really great, being able to just like put content out there and
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people see it.
No, absolutely. It's a great new platform. It's definitely giving everybody a run for their money, and everybody's like, okay, I need to get on TikTok. And I actually know some people who's like, I'm no longer going to be on other platforms. I'm just going to do TikTok because it's bringing me the most audience. And there's a place and time for everything, which is really awesome. Um, we are subscribed to your YouTube channel, so be looking forward
Wonderful.
to your new
Yeah.
stuff.
Thanks.
And thanks. We'll be sharing all of the links to your connections on the show notes. So when the podcast episode goes out, my audience will know where to connect with you. Thank you so much,
Fantastic.
Kendra. This was a ton of fun. You have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode on Hacks and Hobbies. We absolutely appreciate your contribution. You can find additional notes on hacksandhobbies.com. Please share the podcast with your friends and tell them what you learned about our guest today.